Welcome back to Reddit Tales by Uncle Sammy. I see you, I appreciate you, and I'm thankful you subscribed and keep showing up. This space is built on your insights. Leave your thoughts and lessons below. Now, cue the tension, cue the truth, let's get into it. Before I tell you this, hold on to one useful thing. When somebody gets more frantic about a broken routine than a broken promise, pay attention. The night my wife walked out of that motel and found her car gone, she was not looking around like a woman afraid she had wrecked her marriage. She was looking around like a woman furious that somebody had interrupted her plan. That difference matters. A lie can survive an argument. It does not survive inconveniences very well. I am Darian Holt, 41, born in St. Louis, raised between church shoes and bus grease. And for most of my marriage, I believed steadiness could fix almost anything. I worked fleet maintenance for a school district in North County, which meant I woke before daylight and spent my mornings under yellow buses with a flashlight between my teeth. My wife, Rochelle, said I smelled like soap, metal, and coffee even after I showered. She used to say it like it made her feel safe. By the end, she said it like she was describing wallpaper. If you enjoy relationship drama stories with real consequences, cheating wife betrayal twists, and slow burn emotional reveals like this one, take a second right now to like, share, and subscribe. And stay with me, because this story gets much worse once the truth follows her home. Rochelle was 39, careful with her nails, careless with silence, and so good at first impressions that waiters remembered her orders and dentists remembered her laugh. She supervised front desk operations at an imaging clinic near the airport. She kept color-coded sticky notes in her purse and mixed orange peel into witch hazel because she liked the linen sprays she made better than anything sold in stores. We had one child, our daughter Imani, 16, serious-eyed and long-limbed, with a violin she polished more faithfully than some people tend their marriages. Our house sat on a short brick block where porch lights came on early, and everybody knew whose nephew had started barber school, whose mama had sugar trouble, and which corner store would cash a check without acting like they were doing you a favor. Friday nights, if I was not taking overtime, I picked up lemon pepper catfish from Nettie's carryout. Saturday mornings, I restored old tabletop radios in the basement, laying screws and labeled cigar tins. Sunday meant New Hope Baptist, then dinner with my sister Clarice if she was not working. It was not a flashy life. I thought that made it strong. Trouble did not enter our house like a storm. It came in like static. Rochelle started turning her phone face down at dinner. She began volunteering for a late close at the clinic, even though she used to complain if they kept her 10 minutes past 5. A new perfume showed up in our bathroom cabinet. Something sharp and expensive with a peppery finish that did not smell like her homemade sprays. When I asked about it, she said one of the radiology reps had given out samples. Her answer came quick, too quick, and I heard it. I just pretended I had not. I had reason for pretending. That is the ugly part nobody likes to admit. Denial is not always stupidity. Sometimes it is management. Imani was practicing for an audition with the St. Louis Youth Orchestra, and the house already felt tense enough with scales drifting under doors and college talk stretching every grocery bill thinner. I told myself Rochelle was tired. I was distracted. Marriage had weather, and weather passed. I told myself a man did not tear down his living room because he found one loose nail. The truth was simpler. I was afraid of being right. There were other signs, and I filed each one under maybe. A receipt for cocktails from a hotel bar, when she had told me she was helping her cousin shop for church hats. A charge from a beauty supply over in Maryland Heights, far from the clinic. On a day she said she never left campus. A smile that looked rehearsed when I kissed her cheek. At Leonard's barbershop, men joked about midlife foolishness and secret phones, and I laughed where the laugh belonged, but my stomach felt tight. Everybody thinks betrayal announces itself. It usually just repeats itself until you finally stop explaining it away. The first real decision I made came on a Wednesday in October. Rochelle had fallen asleep on the couch with a blanket over her knees and a half-watched home makeover show running low on the television. Her phone lit up on the cushion beside her, and all I could see was the preview. Can't do Thursday unless he believes the inventory story. I stared at those words until the screen went black. I could have opened the message. I could have searched her phone, read every thread, and torn the house open at midnight. I did not. My father used to interrogate my mother, and I swore I would never love anybody that way. So I tried the righteous version first. I asked for counseling. I asked on a Saturday morning while I was cleaning bus grease out from under my nails with a toothbrush, and she was folding fitted sheets with the precision of a magician. Rochelle did not yell. She gave a small shrug and said, "For what?" Like I had suggested replacing a lamp. I said things fell off. She said I lived in routine so long that any change felt threatening. I said maybe that was true. Then she looked me in the face and said, "Not everything uncomfortable is wrongdoing, Darian." That sentence kept me still for 2 more weeks. We went to 2 counseling sessions, anyway. A woman in Clayton with framed diplomas, soft lamps, and a habit of folding her hands like every word needed ceremony. Rochelle was brilliant in that room. She cried on cue, spoke about feeling lonely, said I loved tasks more than tenderness, said my quiet could feel punishing. Some of it was true.
They're
which made
coming.
the lies harder to
We
see.
have to go
I
now.
left those sessions feeling ashamed and
Who's
slightly
coming?
rearranged.
No
Like
time.
I
Get
apologized
out.
for a crime I
Okay,
could
I'm
not make.
coming.
Rochelle left lighter each time.
They're
As if therapy was
coming.
not for healing,
We
but
have
buy
to
herself
go
more
now.
credit. At
What?
home,
Who's coming?
money started moving.
No time.
Nothing
Get out.
dramatic at
Okay,
first.
I'm coming.
$40 cash back. $75
They're
from
coming.
the ATM.
We
by the
have to
highway.
go now.
200 labeled
What?
households.
Who's coming?
I kept our
No
finances
time.
in the
Get
black
out.
composition
Okay,
notebook.
I'm coming.
Because my father had taught me that numbers tell
They're
the truth without
coming.
mood
We
or
have to
volume.
go
The
now.
notebook showed a pattern
What?
Rochelle's
Who's
mouth
coming?
would.
No
Thursdays.
time. Get out.
Always
Okay,
Thursdays.
I'm coming.
Small amount at first, then larger ones.
They're coming.
And always with an
We have
explanation
to go
already
now.
prepared if I asked.
What? Who's
Offered birthday
coming?
gift.
No
Surprise
time.
for
Get
a
out.
sister.
Okay, I'm
Deposit
coming.
from Monty's summer program. I wanted
They're
to believe her
coming.
so badly
We have to
that
go
I let
now.
Each answer sit.
What?
where
Who's
proof should have
coming?
been.
No
Imani knew
time.
something
Get
before
out.
I admitted it
Okay,
to
I'm
myself.
coming.
Teenagers hear tone better than content.
They're
One
coming.
night, she came
We
into the
have to
kitchen
go
in house
now.
socks and an old Howard
What?
University
Who's
sweatshirt
coming?
she had bought from a flip
No
rack
time. Get
because she said
out.
it made her
Okay,
feel
I'm
ambitious.
coming.
She opened the freezer, took out a
They're
football,
coming.
and
We
Are
have
y'all
to go
mad at each
now.
asked, or is this
What?
just how
Who's
grown
coming?
people get quiet?
No
That
time.
question
Get out.
hit me
Okay,
harder
I'm
than
coming.
any accusation Rochelle could have made.
They're
I told her her mother
coming.
was stressed.
We have to
I was
go
tired,
now.
and she should focus
What?
on her audition.
Who's coming?
She nodded.
No time.
but
Get
she did
out.
not look
Okay,
convinced.
I'm coming.
The first time I saw Gideon Pace, I
They're
already disliked him
coming.
before I knew
We
him.
have to go
He was
now.
outside the imaging clinic
What?
one
Who's
chilly
coming?
Thursday.
No
leaning
time.
against a
Get
black
out.
Tahoe with a
Okay,
fitted
I'm
camel
coming.
One hand in his pocket, the other
They're
holding a paper
coming.
cup.
We
He looked
have to go
expensive in that
now.
polished way some men
What?
cultivate
Who's coming?
when they need the word
No time.
to
Get
believe they
out.
have never
Okay,
sweated.
I'm coming.
Michelle came out laughing at something he said.
They're
And the laugh was not
coming.
for coworkers.
We have to go
It had
now.
softness in it. He
What?
touched her
Who's
elbow
coming?
when she turned away.
No time. Get
Small
out.
gesture.
Okay, I'm
Familiar
coming.
gesture. I slowed my truck at the light.
They're
I felt
coming.
my whole
We
body
have to go
cold.
now.
Leon, one
What?
of the mechanics
Who's
from the
coming?
depot, was
No
in the passenger
time.
seat
Get out.
because I
Okay,
had promised
I'm
to drop him
coming.
by his mother's place after work. He
They're
saw where I was
coming.
looking.
We
Leon
have to
had the
go
kind of face
now.
that never hurried to judgment,
What? Who's coming?
which was why I trusted
No
his silence
time.
more
Get
than
out.
most men's
Okay,
speeches.
I'm coming.
After a minute, he said, "You know him?"
They're
I said no.
coming.
He
We
said,
have to go
"Well,
now.
He knows he looks good
What?
doing wrong."
Who's coming?
I laughed once.
No
without
time. Get
Then I
out.
kept
Okay,
driving.
I'm coming.
It was easy to act like the scene had no authority over me.
They're
and to
coming.
admit How
We
quickly it
have
had
to go
rearranged
now.
My chest.
What?
I went
Who's
home and stood in
coming?
my basement
No
workshop
time.
pretending to
Get
sort
out.
radio
Okay,
knobs
I'm
while I
coming.
argued with myself. Rochelle had not kissed
They're
me.
coming.
Michelle had
We
not
have
held
to
his
go
hand.
now.
Maybe it was work.
What? Who's
Maybe
coming?
I was raw from counseling.
No time.
Maybe
Get
loneliness
out.
was
Okay,
teaching me to
I'm
hallucinate
coming.
meaning into ordinary things.
They're
But
coming.
I remember the
We
line
have
from
to
the
go
phone.
now.
Inventory story.
What? Who's
I
coming?
remembered Thursday.
No time.
I
Get
remembered her
out.
saying
Okay,
my
I'm
discomfort was
coming.
not proof. That evening I made my
They're
second major
coming.
decision.
We
I
have
stopped
to go
trying to be the
now.
morally superior husband.
What? Who's
and started
coming?
Documenting what I
No
could actually
time.
see,
Get out.
not to
Okay,
punish
I'm
her,
coming.
to keep from gaslighting myself. The
They're
notebook got
coming.
thicker.
We have
Dates,
to
times,
go
charges,
now.
Stories told.
What? Who's
stories
coming?
Changed.
No
wrote down
time.
the
Get
smell of
out.
that milk.
Okay, I'm
I
coming.
wrote down the exact wording she used when she said she
They're
was covering
coming.
someone's clothes.
We have to go
because
now.
people repeat favorite lies.
What? Who's
I
coming?
wrote down
No
every
time.
Thursday
Get
test of
out.
drugs
Okay,
and
I'm
matched it
coming.
against the clinic schedule she left magnet to the refrigerator. When a story did not match a date, I circled it in red. There was shame in that work. Nobody grows up dreaming they will become the husband who keeps a private ledger of his own unraveling. But shame is lighter than confusion. At least shame has edges. November came in wet and gray. The buses returned every morning tracked with leaves and slush, and by the time I got home my shoulders felt as if somebody had hung wet coats on them. Rochelle, meanwhile, was in a better mood than she had been in months. Too good. She hummed while she cleaned. She ordered new boots online. She started working out after dinner with a brightness that felt borrowed. One Sunday after church, Sister Marion told her she looked radiant. Rochelle touched her own throat and smiled. I stood beside my wife in a fellowship hall that smelled like baked spaghetti and sweet tea, and I felt completely absent from her. The worst discovery before the motel was not another man. It was a transfer. I logged into our savings one Tuesday to schedule the gas bill and saw that $6,500 was missing from the account we had nicknamed Imani Music. That money was for summer programs, instrument maintenance, travel, and the possibility of private lessons if scholarship money fell short. I called Rochelle at work, already trying to give her an innocent explanation in my head. She answered on the second ring, cheerful, and told me she had moved the money to a better account after talking to a financial guy who came through the clinic. I asked which account. She said she would show me later. She never did. That night, I barely tasted dinner. Nettie's catfish sat on my tongue like cardboard. Imani practiced scales with her mute on, so the sound came through the wall as a thin, stubborn whisper. Rochelle told a story about a rude patient at work and laughed at her own ending. I watched her and hated myself for still studying her like a man hoping to catch a glimpse of the person he married. It would have been simpler to make her a villain. She was not. She was still funny with our daughter. She still tucked her feet under me on the couch. She just no longer seemed loyal to the life she was benefiting from. The alert came the Thursday before Thanksgiving. I was in the school parking lot waiting for the last late bus to roll, and when my phone buzzed with a joint card notification. Cypress Lodge, 2-night hold. I knew that motel. Everybody around the airport knew that motel. The one tucked off the service road behind an empty steakhouse and an old bowling alley that still had a bent neon sign. Rochelle had told me that morning she was staying late for inventory with 2 supervisors from corporate. My whole body went strange and sharp. I sat there with a diesel smell in the air and knew the part of my life called maybe was over. I should tell you, I did not speed there blind with fury. I picked up Imani from orchestra rehearsal first, because children do not stop needing rides just because their parents are falling apart. I took her home, told her I had to check something at the depot, and asked Clarice to come sit with her under the excuse of helping with a church raffle. Then I drove toward the airport with my work jacket still on and the spare key to Rochelle's Honda in my pocket. I had kept that key for years after she locked herself out in the Schnucks parking lot during a July heat wave. She had forgotten it existed. I had not. Leon met me at a diner across from the motel because I called him on instinct and said only, I need a witness and a calm head. He did not ask for details over the phone. That is how you know a real friend from a curious one. We sat in a booth that smelled like fryer oil and burnt coffee, and through the foggy window, I saw Rochelle's gray Honda tucked near the back row under a buzzing vacancy sign. I knew that dent over the rear tire. I knew the little Howard University sticker Imani had pressed onto the bumper years before. I stared until the room felt thin. Leon looked out the window, then back at me. What are you thinking? He asked. I had a choice right there. I could march into room whatever number it was, turn a private humiliation into a public one, and risk becoming the story instead of the truth. A black man pounding on a motel door near the airport after dark does not get presumption of heartbreak. He gets the police. He gets in danger. He gets reduced to spectacle before he can say his own name. So I chose something quieter. I took the spare key, crossed the lot without drama, got in Rochelle's Honda, and drove it around the block. I parked her car behind a closed appliance store, 3 streets over, where no one would tow it overnight. Then Leon and I circled back in his Buick and took our same booth at the diner window. 10 minutes later, Rochelle stepped out of room 12 with Gideon Pace behind her, both of them moving slowly at first, talking in that relaxed after-private-hours way that made my skin crawl. She clicked her key fob once. Nothing. Clicked again. Her shoulders stiffened. Gideon checked his pockets, like maybe he could solve it by looking important. Rochelle spun in a full circle, searching the lot, and the expression on her face was not grief. It was panic at losing control. I will never forget that part, not because it was dramatic, but because it clarified everything. She was furious before she was ashamed. Gideon tried to calm her, then got irritated when she snapped at him. She paced between 2 pickup trucks, checking the pavement as if the Honda might have melted into it. Leon said nothing. He just slid his coffee toward me because my hands had gone cold. After a few more frantic minutes, Gideon called somebody, probably a ride, and Rochelle stood under that blue-white motel light, rubbing both temples like inconvenience was the real injury of the night. Watching her, something inside me stopped begging for misunderstanding. By the time Rochelle got a rideshare home, I had already put her car in our garage, backed my truck into the driveway, and laid everything out on the dining table. Not a wedding ring, not a dramatic note. I wanted facts, not theater. In the center was a binder with tab sections, motel charge, cash withdrawals, the missing money from Imani's account, screenshots of the apartment application I had found in our shared email, and a printed transfer request with Gideon Pace listed as co-applicant on a furnished 1-bedroom in Maryland Heights. Beside the binder sat the new keypad code instructions from the locksmith and one envelope marked for tomorrow. The apartment application was the part that cut deepest. While Leon drove me back in the diner, I had checked our shared tab in the kitchen and found Rochelle's email still open from 2 days earlier. That is where I saw it. First month's rent, security deposit, utility setup, 2 bar stools, a gray sectional on layaway, and the missing money from Imani music spread across the whole eye like fingerprints. She had not just been sleeping with another man. She had been furnishing a future with him, using money our daughter believed was waiting for her. By the time the garage door closed on her Honda, I was done pleading with what was in front of me. Rochelle came to the front door close to midnight, coat crooked, hair damp at the edges from mist. She took 3 steps into the dining room and stopped so hard the chain on her purse slapped against the wall. She saw the binder. She saw the envelope. She saw her own car keys hanging on the peg by the garage door where I had placed them like a returned item. For once, she had no words ready. She looked at me, then at the binder again, and I watched understanding move through her face in pieces. The missing car had scared her. This was worse. This meant the secret life had already collapsed. I kept my voice low because Imani was asleep upstairs and because I wanted to hear every answer clearly. You took money from our daughter, I said. Not you cheated. Not how could you. That question could wait. The one that mattered first was the one with numbers attached. Rochelle sat down slowly and put both hands on the table as though it might tilt. She started with loneliness, then moved to confusion, then landed on the sentence people use when they want motive to stand in for innocence. It got out of hand. I remember looking at her and thinking, no, you kept it in hand long enough to sign a lease. She cried. I do not say that to mock her. She really did cry, and for a minute the old version of me almost stepped forward out of habit, ready to comfort the very person who had cut me open. Then I heard Imani turn over upstairs, the bed frame giving that little thump it always gave, and something in me reset. I told Rochelle she could sleep in the guest room for the night, that the door code had been changed, and that the envelope on the table was for our meeting in the morning with an attorney named Renata Bishop. She said, "You already called a lawyer?" I said, "I already called reality." The next morning I dropped Imani at school like every other Friday, asked about her history quiz, and listened while she complained about cafeteria pizza, as if my life were not splitting right beside her. Then I drove downtown to Renata Bishop's office, in a building that smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and old paper. Renata was a black woman in her 50s with silver at her temples, and the kind of calm that made your own pulse seem unnecessary. I gave her the binder. She read fast, asked precise questions, and never once patted my feelings into a neat little pile. That alone made me trust her. Renata explained things in plain language. Affairs were ugly but common. Misusing marital money was measurable. Taking funds designated for a child's education made judges pay attention. She told me not to rant, not to post, not to confront Gideon, and not to let guilt make me sloppy. We would freeze what we could, document the rest, and keep everything centered on facts. I left her office with checklist, a temporary plan for the accounts, and the first full breath I had taken in weeks. It was not a relief exactly. Relief suggests pain is over. This was different. Structure is what you build when pain decides to stay. Rochelle spent that weekend rotating through apologies and accusations, depending on which one seemed to be working least badly. When the apology failed, she tried to blame. She said I had become predictable. She said I loved order more than intimacy. She said she felt unseen. I listened because some truth can exist inside a larger wrong, and I am not proud enough to deny my own part in the dead air between us. I had hidden inside the routine. I had treated patience like a moral trophy. I had let months go by without insisting we talk plainly. But none of that reached forward and emptied our daughter's fund or booked a motel. Telling Imani was the hardest conversation of my life. Renata told me not to dump adult details on a child. And she was right. But children also know when the floor has changed. Imani came home Monday and found her mother's overnight bag by the guest room door. She stood in the kitchen with her violin case still on her shoulder and asked, "Is this permanent?" I told her that her mother and I were having serious problems, that money had been used in ways it should not have been, and that adults sometimes make selfish choices that ripple into everybody else's life. Imani looked at me for a long second and said, "So she lied to us." She did not cry right away. That came later in the basement while I pretended to be sorting radio tubes, and she sat on the steps, hugging her case to her chest. The first tear embarrassed her more than the 10th. Was I stupid, she asked me, for not seeing it? That question broke something in me, because I had been asking myself the same thing for weeks. I told her no. I told her trusting your home is not stupidity. It is what children are supposed to do. Then she said, I hate that she used my music money. And there it was, the purest wound in the whole mess. 2 days later, Gideon's wife called me. Her name was Celeste Pace, and she sounded like a woman holding herself together with fingertips and calendar reminders. She was principal at a middle school in Florissant and had found enough on Gideon's phone to understand there was another household bleeding because of him. We met in the parking lot of Panera off West Florissant because public places keep people decent. Celeste wore a navy coat and carried a folder thicker than mine. We did not exchange pity. We exchanged dates, charges, and a few hard truths. Then we agreed on something important. We were not going to let their chaos teach us ugliness. Rochelle moved out the following week to her sister Denise's condo in Hazelwood. That was Renata's recommendation, not mine. Too much tension under one roof leads people to say and do things that follow them into court. The block was noticed immediately. Neighbors always do. Porch curtains shifted. At church. Sympathy came in coded language. I have been praying for your household. The enemy attacks families in different ways. Tell Imani we missed her in the youth choir. Nobody said a prayer out loud, but the word walked around in sensible shoes just the same. I discovered there are people who love your healing and people who love your storyline. They sound similar at first. I got one easy opportunity to go low, and I took a different road on purpose. At the church Thanksgiving pantry drive, Gideon showed up in a volunteer shirt. Carrington Goods like community service could repaint his name. He saw me by the folding tables and froze for half a second. I could have exposed him right there. I could have said enough in one clear voice to peel every fake layer off him in front of deacons, ushers, and old women with perfect memory. I did not because he deserved protection. Because my daughter was 20 feet away stacking cranberry sauce. I was not going to turn her church into a courtroom for my satisfaction. Practical consequences are quieter than dramatic ones, but they last longer. The joint credit cards were frozen. Renata filed for temporary financial restraints. Rochelle had to produce records she had assumed she could explain later. The furnished apartment she and Gideon had applied for disappeared the minute the money trail tightened. He, it turned out, had promised Celeste he was working late on event contracts the same Thursdays Rochelle was doing inventory. Once the documents started surfacing, his little security company lost 2 church banquet gigs and 1 school contract because the scandal made clients nervous. Not instant karma. Just doors closing one by one under the weight of the truth. December settled over St. Louis with dirty snow along the medians and salt drying white on everybody's boots. I worked, came home, cooked more than I used to, and learned how much a marriage had lived in invisible labor Rochelle had once handled without my noticing. I now knew which grocery store sold the bread Imani liked, how often bathroom towels really needed changing, and how expensive fresh berries were when bought out of season. Pain has a way of making ordinary work newly visible. Some nights I was angry at Rochelle. Some nights I was angry at myself for benefiting so long from a balance I had never properly respected. Rochelle kept calling. Sometimes she wanted another chance. Sometimes she wanted sympathy because Denise's couch was hurting her back and Denise's husband was tired of whispering around children. Once she said she had only moved the money because Gideon promised to pay it back after a contract bonus. That sentence told me more than she meant it to. Not just betrayal. Folly. She had gambled our daughter's plans on a man whose confidence was almost entirely wardrobe. I listened less and less. Not because I had turned hard, but because repetition was beginning to sound like self-protection rather than remorse. An apology that still edits itself is not ready to be trusted. In January, Imani had her winter concert at the University Hall. The air outside was so cold it felt metallic. Inside, people carried programs in balanced flower sleeves against wool coats. Rochelle came alone, stood 3 rows behind me, and watched our daughter play Brooke with a face so open and aching that for a second I remembered exactly why I had once chosen her. After the applause, she caught me by the stairwell and said, "I know sorry sounds cheap now." It did, but she said it anyway. I told her the truth. The affair hurt. The money changed everything. She lowered her eyes because she finally understood which wound was deepest. Mediation took place in February. There were no fiery speeches, no dramatic confessions, just fluorescent lights, legal pads, coffee in paper cups, and the slow humiliation of numbers being repeated back to the person who spent them. By then, a decent portion of Imani's money had been traced and recoverable. Not all of it. Enough to matter. Rochelle agreed to repayment terms, separate debt responsibility, and a settlement that looked nothing like the soft landing she had planned. Gideon, according to Celeste, had moved into a short-term rental and was calling everybody he knew for business. Affairs promise escape. What they usually deliver is paperwork and smaller rooms. Spring started showing itself in the smallest ways first. A brighter edge to the afternoons. Kids on bikes again. The corner store propping its door open for fresh air. One Saturday, I was in the basement tuning a 1958 Zenith while Imani practiced upstairs without her mute for the first time in months. Her notes came down to the floor strong and clear, and under them the radio slowly found a gospel station through all that fuzz. I stood there with one hand on the dial and understood something I had missed all winter. Peace was not getting my old life back. Peace was hearing clearly again. That was enough for me to begin. The part of this story I come back to is not the motel or even the binder on the table. It is the moment at the concert stairwell when I could finally tell the difference between hurt and damage. Hurt was a cheating. Damage was touching our daughter's future to finance a fantasy. That is the line I hope you notice in your own life. Pay attention to patterns. Protect what is shared. And do not confuse being calm with being passive. Quiet decisions made early save people years they can never get back. If this story stayed with you, like, share, and subscribe for more original cheating, betrayal, marriage drama, and emotional storytelling like this. And if you have ever had to choose between anger and dignity, stay close, because there are more stories coming that go just as deep. The end.